I'm Fred McNeil, and you're watching QAC TV. Thanks for joining us. The name of the show is Veteran Stories. Each week we have a different veteran come in and share with you their military experiences, perhaps why they went into the military, and we'd like to thank them for their service to the country. Also, we want you to remind you, if you know a veteran, or if there's something you'd like to learn more about veterans, contact us at QAC TV. We're your TV station, and we want to put on what you'd like to see, okay? Now, I have Hart Anderson with me. Hart, thanks a million for coming today. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Now, Hart, you and I have been talking before the show. The show should probably go 6 hours, but we'll try to get 26 minutes before the producer throws us off.
Well, for my career, I have a 6 hours would only touch it. My career pattern is more like a bad IQ score than a number of years served. I went in '63 and got out in 2006.
Okay, so you were career military.
I was definitely career military. I had a great time. I did what I wanted to do.
Good. All right, let's back it up. Born and raised where?
I was born in California, in Los Angeles, and shortly after I was born, World War II happened.
Okay.
My father was in the Army Air Corps.
Which is today's Air Force. My dad was the same
Absolutely.
thing, right?
It morphed into its whole branch,
Right.
moved away from the Army. And he sustained an injury in combat. And
just a minute, amazing story. He was shot down.
yes, sir.
And then take the story from
he
there.
was shot down in the Pacific, and he was rescued. An airplane that picked up a number of people that were on little
Islands,
wherever they
atolls,
were,
whatever,
yeah. And coming back at night, the Japanese had been toying with the
Radio
homing
and stuff.
beacons,
Okay.
and the airplane flew into the side of a mountain.
So he survives being shot down,
and received
gets rescue, and then
got a broken neck from being rescued. Because he couldn't swivel his head, which is a necessary
Kind of
thing to
important
do
for
in
a
combat,
pilot,
to
yes.
see around you as far as you can. He became an instructor during the remainder of World War II.
You moved around a lot.
Which pushed me up and down Route 66 for World War II. After my father left the military service, he
wasn't career. He was just in for the war. Did he serve 20 years or just the
no.
war?
Actually, he served. He stayed in the reserves.
Okay.
So he also served in Korea, he served after Korea for a number of years.
All right.
And he retired, but he had a number of years of broken service with reserve time.
Okay, all right.
So I guess he was career, although I never.
And you're really a military brat.
I'm
in a lot
definitely
of ways.
military,
Okay.
but yeah,
All
my
right.
grandfather went to West Point, and what we were talking about before, it never occurred to me that I was going to do anything
It
different.
was just
than
in your blood.
it-
It was there.
I have a son who was going to go to the Naval Academy, and he applied to one school for college, and
That
that
was
was
it.
what he did.
And he went to the Naval
he
Academy,
went to the
graduated.
Naval
Okay.
Academy.
It's a military family.
Well, my other two offspring, they're
No.
glad it's around, but they don't want any part of
Okay.
it. So
All right. So Dad was World War II, shot down, rescued. You traveled around as a child as he's teaching people how to, fly combat vehicles, combat planes,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So what happened? You were going to, obviously, a lot of different schools, and then all of a sudden we're heading to a military academy.
My mother talked me into doing something serious about this, and she wanted me to go to a prep school called Cornwall on the Hudson, which is almost an automatic step from that school into West Point.
West Point.
But I went to New Mexico Military Institute because of my time in the desert. I thought it was really
That was
neat.
home. That was home.
Plus, at that time, it was a 4-year college and a 3-year high school. And graduating from high school gave you a big helping of exposure to the more mature military operation, which
And Pete Abbott, I mean, was
Yes.
one of our guests. He told me one day he was at the service high school,
Mhm.
and they looked out the window, and I guess this was during World War II, or maybe career, I don't know what it was. They marched the whole junior or senior class and raised your right hand. They swore them in and gave them commissions. Were you there at that time?
The
Must have
time
been
that they
before
gave
you.
them commissions, at least, were more formal, and that was
Okay.
at their graduation.
Oh, okay.
Because I was there I graduated in high school, 1957,
All right.
and that
Your
was the
post-Korean
last
War,
class.
pre-Vietnam War. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that was the last class that received commissions, and it was in the armored recon.
Because it was a cavalry school, correct? Am I
It
correct?
absolutely was.
Yes.
Everybody rode.
Everybody rode.
3 or 4 years before I went there, everybody rode every Sunday in the pass-in review.
Well, I think Pete Abbott told us then they went armor,
Yes.
if I'm correct, and then everyone
Absolutely.
drove tanks. He said, hey, we won. We had horses and
Well,
tanks.
not many people in high school are sitting in an
tank.
entrenchment at 4:30 in the morning hearing tanks roll around in the desert.
They're hearing things at 4 o'clock, but we don't want to know
Yeah,
what they're hearing.
yeah. Well-
So you fell in love with, you liked, that was your environment.
That was my environment. I tried to go to the Air Academy and I failed the Dobmer's physical. They didn't
An
like
eye
my
thing.
eyes.
Yeah.
They told me I had old eyes, and so they couldn't recommend me for flight. And if I can't fly, I don't get to go to
Don't
the Air
go down
Academy.
there. Yeah, okay.
So it turned out that I have pigmentary glaucoma, which is why I don't practice anymore. My
Right.
depth perception, because of
Is off.
multiple operations in each eye, has kind of ruined my ability to see small things at a distance.
So the eyes wouldn't let you in the Air Force Academy. So where did we start undergraduate school?
University of California, Berkeley.
Okay.
Yes.
And years, that was what?
1957.
Okay, so you're before the free speech movement and all that. You're a little calmer.
Mario Savio had not hit the scene
Okay,
yet.
so UC Berkeley was a great institution of learning at that point.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, still is.
But I did get beaten up at a socialist rally, which kind of changed my whole attitude toward.
Your political outlook, at least on
Yeah,
campus.
there was the American Communist Party, or the American Socialist Party, was putting SNCC, kind of the student arm of the American Socialist
Right,
Party,
right.
on the campus. It became SDS and Slate.
Now, were you
and-
in ROTC or something at that point? Or no?
No,
You're
no,
just a
I
student,
was-
undergraduate kid going to college.
Yeah, I was kind of wandering. I didn't know
yeah,
what I wanted to do.
yeah.
I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, so I
Sure.
thought, well, I'll just
Go to school, get
I'll
some
go
credits, and
to
figure it
as
out.
close as I can to San Francisco, because
Okay.
that was kind of neat.
Okay.
And but this opportunity to to change my attitude toward people in demonstrations happened. I said I got thumped pretty good at a
Actually
rally.
beat up. Physically beat
Absolutely, we went to an SDS rally,
Okay.
and a fraternity
Just
brother
like all
of mine-
undergraduates did to see what was going on,
Absolutely.
type of thing. Yeah.
And
yeah.
a fraternity brother of mine was, yelling and
Got a little vocal.
cheering at him, and all of
Okay.
a sudden I couldn't hear him anymore, and I turned around and
He was on the ground.
somebody grabbed my wrist, put my arms behind me, and thumped me
Really?
about 4 different times. And figured they didn't play by the same rules.
So
that,
much for peaceful San Francisco
yeah,
and Berkeley, a Bay
yeah.
Area, right?
Yeah.
So you're there 2 years. UC
I was
Berkeley.
there a little over 2 years,
Okay.
and then I realized if I'm going to do something with my life, I had to get away from San Francisco,
all right.
because I was spending all
All
my
of
time in the city.
California was about to change, right? In San Francisco, you tell me, now was that the Beat Poet era, or was that before or after?
Actually, the beats were in the early 50s,
Okay, so that's
so
early,
it was
okay.
it had
You missed that.
it was waning.
Okay.
It was definitely going away, but when I was in dental school later, before I was in the military, I lived in the Haight-Ashbury.
Oh, did you really?
Well, it wasn't famous then.
Okay. Oh, this is before the Summer of
and
Love.
there
and all
were
this
a
stuff.
number of there were a number of the leftovers from the Beat generation. They're living in these 4-story wooden frame houses that
Okay.
became the crash pads of the Love
You
generation.
just went from the Beat generation to the. Well, that meant I
Yes.
cheated you here. 2 years at Berkeley.
Yes.
Then you decided, okay, so you shift gears and go where?
The University of Oregon.
Okay.
I had a stepsister that was going there, and she said it was really a great place.
Okay,
So
Eugene,
I
Oregon,
went up there. I
beautiful,
went to
yeah.
night school and worked 2 jobs, and finally decided I was going to go back to school.
Good.
So I did.
Okay.
Graduated from there, and
What was your undergraduate major? Were you pre-med or something?
I smile a little, but a BS in psychology.
Okay. You were like a lot of undergraduates. I know I want a degree. I'm not exactly sure what.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
okay.
actually, I had applied and taken a number of tests, and they kind of liked me as a dentist, so for aptitude and whatnot. So I applied to dental school and got accepted.
University of Oregon, or what school? Or back to San
College
Francisco?
Well, it was College of Physicians and Surgeons. It was kind of by itself, but now it's allied with the University of the Pacific.
Okay, all right. So you're back into California.
I'm back into San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Which
Strange.
your heart? It sounds like your heart never left there.
Yeah, Tony Bennett and I. Yes.
Okay. So now, what was the call to dentistry? Always interested in it, or?
Can't fabricate very well.
Okay.
Actually, I always liked patient care.
Okay.
I was pretty good at diagnosis, and I knew that and whatever. My mother told me that physicians were very special people, almost gods. I knew I wasn't a god, so I figured
You want to get as close
dentistry
as you
was
could.
yeah.
Okay.
But that choice and the way I made it served me extremely well later when I became an instructor and a mentor in the dental corps.
Okay. Well, let me just go back. So, Berkeley, Oregon undergraduate psychology degree. Go back to San Francisco, get into dental school.
I did some graduate work at the University of. I mean, if you want the, I
sure.
did some in physiology and,
Okay.
and psychology.
Okay.
Actually.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we get into dental school,
Mhm.
and then you become a dentist.
Mhm.
Now, right into the military. What was? I mean, also you got.
I
guys
joined the
amazing.
Navy. I joined the Navy almost the same day that I went into dental school.
Okay.
What that did for anybody who did that was it saved you being blindsided by the draft.
All right. So what year are we talking now? So we put to give everybody an idea.
I joined the Navy as a reservist. 1925I was their program.
Okay.
In 1963.
And we remind everybody, even though Vietnam had not kicked off big time, all of us faced the draft. So you made the choice. Hey, look, I'll go in this. Did you go in as an enlisted man, or you had a degree? What?
Well,
They commissioned you, or what?
Yeah, actually, I went in as a dentist, so
Oh, okay.
I was
Automatically commissioned.
an 03,
Okay.
a Navy lieutenant.
Okay, in the reserves, or no?
Yes.
Okay, in the reserves. Okay.
Mhm.
So what happened? So we got our dental degree.
Mhm.
We're in 03 in the Navy.
Mhm.
So where does the ship go from there?
Well, actually, it wasn't the ship. It
Okay.
was the olive drab group of guys with yellow letters painted on everything. I volunteered to support the Marines.
Okay, so you went to the Marines. Okay.
The Marines get their medical and dental support
In the Navy.
from the Navy.
I mean, you can tell I'm an old Army guy. I don't know what you
No,
guys do
understand.
over there. Okay.
Well, the Marines are confused because we wore Navy uniforms.
All right.
And of course, I had a captain's bar on one lapel,
'Cause you're an 03
and then
Navy,
a dental core device on the other, which
Right.
was an oak leaf.
Okay.
And if you had two bars and were in the Marine Corps, you were a captain. And if you had an oak leaf, you were a major.
Major.
And
So
some
they
of my
were double
patients
saluting.
would go,
Major captain.
what goes with him? I mean, he calls himself lieutenant, and he wears captain's bars, and he's got this major thing. So
Keep the Marines confused at all times. It's a good
it.
idea.
Yeah. They were an amazing group of people.
So you were Navy assigned to give medical support to the Marines?
Yes.
Okay.
I got out of school in June. I was in uniform by the end of June. The 1st of July, I was in Vietnam in the end of September.
That quick. Now, what year are we talking now?
68.
Oh, 68. Okay.
Yes,
That's when I was in Vietnam.
1968.
68, 60. Okay.
Yes.
Where did they put you in Vietnam?
The northern portion of I Corps,
Now, so you're there in a medical unit.
around Quang Tri,
Okay. All right. I know you were.
Quang Tri, Dong Ha, Qua Viet, C2, Camp Carroll.
Now, what happens? Okay, so give me the duties. So are you providing normal dental care, or are you doing the injury? What was the actual assignment?
The answer to your question is
Both.
yes. Because during my or just prior to my dental school, and even the couple free summers I had, I was going back to Reno, Nevada, where my father lived, and I was being trained as a surgical technician.
Okay.
So I came to my opportunity in Vietnam with some skills that a normal dentist might
wouldn't have
not
had.
possess.
Okay.
And
All right.
so I had knowledge of and could handle myself reasonably well in trauma
So just
triage.
so if somebody comes in and there's some type of facial injury, you're the one that comes in and gives the dental support.
I usually got the first look at facial injuries. I got to do the cut downs. I got to do the airway management for CPR and that kind of thing.
Howard, I keep
Yes.
reading the amazing advances that have taken place in Afghanistan and Iraq in terms of our medical care treatment.
Yes, sir.
There must have been an amazing jump from what would have been the Korean War to Vietnam. Did we not also make amazing you tell me.
You know, there were a number of things that put the situation together where we're able to save more people. Part of it is technological, both on the battlefield and off.
Right.
Body armor, different, more effective body armor, different types of Kevlar protection, the vehicles that they travel in.
Right.
So, but we actually went to school with a number of the lessons that the Israeli Defense Force
Oh, okay.
came up with for
In their
the
various confrontations.
yes, for the immediate treatment of extremely
Just like
traumatized people as far as fluid management and airway management and this kind of thing. So we were able to, by given the opportunity, protect the people in combat, but with traumatic injuries that they would not survive 10 years prior to Vietnam,
Right.
we were now able
It
to
was safe.
bring them home.
How
Yes,
many
sir.
would you see on a regular? I mean, for the layman, would you see one person a day, 10? Or you never knew.
You didn't
Never
know.
knew.
I mean, there
It's
were
like at a
times,
mass. They're coming in.
right? There were times when it was nonstop, and then there were times when nothing happened, and I could do
Anything
routine
going.
dentistry all the
Okay.
time.
So you did have that both. So you were also getting the.
Oh, that
Marine
was
coming in
my
saying-
job.
Okay.
My job was routine dentistry, and the philosophy of the Navy support to the Marines was to put routine care as far forward as possible.
So guys would get their teeth cleaned and
Right.
checked. As
Right.
all these front units or anybody.
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you have a toothache, you're really not
And
functional.
you're not going to be able to shoot straight. I'm sorry.
Right.
You're not.
And while there was more formal dental support in Dong Ha, and they moved it to Quang Tri because you could shoot at everybody. From the DMZ, they were shooting at Dong Ha, so they retreated to Quang Tri, which was
A little
outside
safer
the FAM,
area for you.
outside the artillery range. If you're able to take care of them, if they came out of their fire support teams and things, it was usually a 4-day turnaround for a toothache.
Really? So they'd come in from the field. You'd clean
Right.
up, do what
Well,
you
because I was there with them
Okay.
at places like Task Force Hotel and Camp Carroll.
So you were in
and,
some hot spots.
well, I was closer than some of the
You
some of the
were right
larger
over
units. I had
okay.
a single man, two technician clinic with
type of-
Charlie Med and
Just to and help me, because I remember
Yes,
in the
sir.
field dentistry. Is it,
field dentistry.
you know, explain the difference. We now go to these offices,
Hmm.
music's piped in, technicians helping us, chairs that look like you could sit in your living room with. What's a field? Explain a field dentist.
I had two great technicians, but they had mustaches and 3 days growth of beard and body odor. So I mean, it not quite the same.
Literally a chair. I mean,
Yes, sir. I had a more formal chair, but I also had the opportunity to provide care with modern turbine handpieces because Encore made I don't know who makes what now,
Yeah.
but in 60s.
During the Vietnam War.
Yeah, there was things that looked like two very large suitcases.
Okay.
And
a portable really?
you set them up, and they gave you air under pressure and
right
clean water. And yes, sir.
You kidding? Did you put up a tent or anything, or just sit?
Actually, at Charlie Med, I occupied a 10 by 10 die marker bunker. The three of us lived in there, and I had two.
There's the title of your book you're going to write, right? Okay.
And well, the biggest part of that, I used to go to the threat briefs because my sick call would have 27 people standing there in the morning, and I needed to know who was going to go away.
If the siren goes off or the alert goes,
they knew that they were going to get mobilized later, so sometimes to say they were stuck in sick call somewhere, kind of helped them.
That's a different type of dentistry in a bunker with two portable units for power.
Actually, we did a number of things. We did routine care, and we did preventative care. The best that we could. We encouraged them to brush their teeth.
Sure.
And
out of a steel pot. I mean, that's look as a guy who lived in the field for a while, I'm ashamed to admit it, but a steel pot became what you shaved out of, brushed your teeth out of, and
absolutely.
You know stories better than I do. What these GIs.
I mean, I don't know how that's going to work because it's now Kevlar.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
You can pour the hot water.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But to get to the punchline here.
Yeah.
With my clinic in that position, I could turn people around and put them back to work with being able to function within hours.
Within hours. Coming right out of the field, line up guys, are going to clean, pull the tooth, whatever we got to do.
Especially since a number of them had wisdom teeth and
it's that age group.
It's that age group. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, how long was that first tour there? Is that a year? I mean,
well, it was a year.
It was a year.
Well, I wasn't there a year though because I was given the responsibility of preparing the removal of the 3rd Marine Division from I Corps.
Okay,
and so I went back with the team that put the 3rd Marine Division back on Okinawa.
And so when the Army took your place, is that what happened? They send the Army in?
The Army
half the Marines had done the work, they put the Army in.
Yeah, well,
as an Army guy, I can say that, yeah.
Well, Task Force Hotel, or used to be LZ Stud, which was an Army outpost.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Army was there first, the Marines were there, 9th Marines became a task force with the Army and the Marines, and then went back. Yes, belonging to the Army.
Well, in that first tour, ever under attack, mortars, gunfire, or too regular? Or, I mean, was it
nothing terribly exciting.
No.
I used to have the opportunity when somebody they thought was badly wounded and maybe more work for one corpsman. I used to go out on the medevac bird. Was kind of fascinated to see bullet holes in the helicopter afterwards. Yeah. But that's a cheap thrill if you didn't know what happened.
Well, that was Vietnam.
Yeah, got shot at once in a Jeep, and I didn't even know it. They pulled over, and since I was sitting in a ditch, some of the Jeep ahead of us saw, and so everybody pulled over, and so 3 or 4 times, but nothing.
No combat in terms of you had to put down a dental tool.
Yeah, I did get knocked down one time, but it was
between the SDS and the VC. You were having a tough time here for a while.
I walked out of the surgical area in Quang Tri about 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was, and they were shooting rockets at the airfield, which was on the other side of the hospital compound, and this rocket fell not all that far from me. I don't really remember it. All of a sudden there was this kind of noise, and I don't remember much of anything. Okay. I remember somebody rubbing me on the head and saying,
Doc, you
could
okay?
have been a hell of a lot worse for you. Yeah. But other than that, no, I just kind of cruised through it.
Did you get R&R halfway through the tour, or did they give R&R? I mean, I tell everybody about a highlight of my contribution to the Vietnam War is they sent me to Australia for a week for R&R. How about yourself? Did you get
I did get R&R, but that was kind of short for me because I had been out of country for several days when my father passed away. And because of the legal ramifications of the estate and whatnot, I said, I don't want to go home. And
Okay.
they said, no, you have to
Get
do
it.
it. So I was in the United States for a little while during
Okay,
that
so you got a
period,
little
came
bit of a
back.
break. Okay.
Well, I was in San Diego talking to lawyers. I don't know how much
that's
of a
not,
break
that's
that
not,
is.
believe me, that might be tougher than any combat situation you were. So a year in Vietnam. Now,
Well, just short of a year.
Short of a year, and
Because
then-
part of it was,
Okay.
part of that year was in Okinawa.
So you were there 68, 69.
Yes, sir.
Same year as I was there. I got there in September. When did you get there in 68, do you remember?
The September second week, or the end of the first week in October.
Okay, we're close. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what happened after the first Vietnam tour? What did the Navy
I
send
went
you?
back to Treasure Island
Okay.
in San Francisco, and my
You
domestic.
were meant to be in San Francisco, I think.
Actually, the thing that I really remember about that was neat, because I lived on Fisherman's Wharf, I was always going against traffic.
Oh, okay.
So
you
there
had
was
it
this
perfect.
huge on the bridge going away on the other direction, and I was going 60 miles an hour that way, and they were all stuck
Okay.
over there. Somehow that's good for your.
Now,
Yes, sir.
my producer beat me.
Yes.
How about we do this? Can I ask you to come back and we'll do the second part of this at some
Of
other
course.
point? Okay, because I have a feeling you're going to be like Pete Abbott. I'm going to convince you to write a book. We've already got the title, Dentistry in a Bunker, all right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I do this to all of our veterans. Thank you very much for
Oh,
serving, okay?
I had a great time doing
We were
it.
in Vietnam the first time. We were there the same time. You helped contribute to the cause. I think I sent us in the wrong direction, but we'll discuss that off here, okay? And I do appreciate you coming. I promise the audience we'll do a part two, okay? This is Fred McNeil. You're watching QAC TV. We're with Hart Anderson, who's telling us some amazing stories about what I call dentistry in the bunker, and we're going to use that for his book title when he writes a book, all right? Thank you for watching Veteran Stories. I'm Fred McNeil. My time's up. Thank you for your time. We're going to see you next time.